Okay, it's Sunday, which means against my better judgment, it's time to go to Reddit and see what we can find in this hive of scum and villainy. First off, why don't people ever use Torbjorn's hammer? And the gist of it is, gun takes 2 seconds to reload. It's automatically reloaded if the hammer's been equipped for 2.1 seconds. The hammer does 55 damage. The basic melee does 30 damage. Why don't people use the hammer instead of just meleeing while they're reloading? And first off, it's a lot of extra effort to go through, but secondarily, you reload before or you change back to the rivet gun before 2.1 seconds. You now have to reload the rivet gun. So, it's not really worth the effort and potential backfire for 25 extra damage. And let's be real. How often is Torbjorn touching you and not just shotgunning you instead, So, it's not really worth the effort. How are some people just casually GM without particularly working for it, and how other people really try and practice and VoD review, etc., but peak at Diamond or Masters, etc.? Well, unfortunately, life isn't very fair, and some people are just, mechanically very gifted, so they climb without really having to put much effort into it because they're just really good at the game. Whereas other people, they don't have the natural talent, so they have to work at it. But, it's hard to improve in skill to get to, the top brackets in anything, really. So, sometimes life's just unfair like that. I remember hearing somebody told me about their friend who got into Grandmasters. I don't remember if they said top 500 or Grandmasters. It definitely said Grandmasters, at least. And they were under the impression that, this was a long time ago, by the way, so, this is more true now than it was then, but they were under the impression that Zarya was a really bad hero, and Hanzo was a counter to Pharah. This was before Hanzo got reworked, so, yeah, but they were in Grandmasters, but despite having some very interesting opinions about the video game, because they were just mechanically very good at the game, so... there's no justice, basically, is the gist. Small ash tip. Genji deflect increases coach gun knockback. Yes, it does. I was talking about this the other day. If Genji's deflecting in front of you and you shotgun him, the shotgunning getting bounced back at you doesn't really do any damage because the gun itself doesn't do a lot of damage. So if you really want to get away from that Genji, you fire the shotgun into him because you get your own knockback applied, but then he bounces the knockback back at you, so you just fly twice as far. You will definitely be away from that Genji if you fire into his deflect with the coach gun. Didn't actually know it was called the coach gun. Shows you what I know. I've had a lot of comp games lately where we have a Ryan on gold damage and then absolutely flaming our DPS for not pulling their weight, even in games we win, yet I get shattered 5+ times because they're too busy trying to do damage and overextending. Is this a common trend with people who play Ryan at the moment, or should I be calling them out when they call our DPS? Haha. Haha, at the moment. Haha, haha. The thing is that people are looking for any excuse to shit talk on DPS players. As soon as anything's going badly, well, the enemy team aren't dying. Clearly that's a damage-related issue, because if we were just doing enough damage to them, they'd be dead. Simple answer, isn't it? So... must be the DPS's fault. It's very easy to actually have gold damage on Reinhardt. It's very hard to have gold damage on Reinhardt and still actually be playing a tank, That's the issue Reinhardt players have, myself included. So yeah, it means the Reinhardt player is probably the bad one, actually. I was playing a game earlier. I was playing a game with a friend, and... We got wiped by Nanoblade, as you do. Full on play of the game, Nanoblade killed 4 or 5 people with it. And then someone on our team was like, Reinhardt, why didn't you just kill Genji? What do you mean? Just take your hammer, just take your shield down and swing at the Genji. And you'll kill him. Yeah, just kill the Nanoblade. It's easy, right? Why didn't I think of that? If you just kill the Nanoblade, he can't kill you. Think about it. It wasn't me that was the Reinhardt, by the way. So, but it was just, it was really funny. Well, if you just kill him, He can't wipe us, can he? If you just click on the men better, they'll all be dead. Just kill him. Easy game. So that was very funny to me anyway. You just kill the Nanoblade, you know? No big deal. That happens. Sombra is the best defensive player. I think you mean character, but you know. For a while now, I've found the best use of Sombra for me protecting my teammates. More often than not, the enemy team has one or more of the following heroes, all the people countered by Sombra. Reaper, not so much, but, you know, sort of still. If this is the case, they are guaranteed to flank, and when they do, I will be waiting there for the disable, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, basically, Sombra is, like, a pretty good defensive character, because she has, like, very impossible to miss crowd control, and, like, all these characters get fucked up by crowd control, you know, or by Sombra being hacking them. So, yeah. Sombra is actually a very good defensive hero right now, just because of the sheer amount of people being played that are, like, very reliant on their abilities. New player. When does it get a more team-based game? You know, only playing a short time. Just quick play as I level up. No one on mic. Good. It's always 6 DPS and awful team comp. Yep. Even if I try to tank, no one heals. Yep. When I'm a healer, there's no tank. Yep. It's better to be a healer with no tank than a tank with no healer. Just for the record. Like, you can't be a tank without a healer. You can't be a healer without a tank. Does it get better once competitive opens up to me? I love the... Yes, it is a lot better in competitive. Quick play's a waste of time. Team chat's also a waste of time, just so everybody's, you know, up to date on things still, because communication is actually a skill, believe it or not, and most people don't have that skill. The people who are always the most vocal about, isn't it funny, the people who are always the most vocal about wanting people in team chat are always the ones that don't say fucking anything in team chat as well. So many times I've had people breathing down my neck, get in team chat. If you were in team chat, we'd be winning. And then someone who's with me in the team chat goes, "You aren't even saying anything." And then the person goes, "I just want him in team chat." Nothing's being said in team chat. It's all placebo effect. Anyway, when is it okay to use Roadhog? Roadhog, a large, beefy boy with the ability to hook people to him for close quarters kills and the ability to self-sustain by tanking, blah, blah, blah. While the off-tank role is usually more in favor of someone who can provide utility for the team, such as D.Va or Zarya, Roadhog does still have utility. Just for the record, he does still have utility because he has crowd control and one of the best defensive ultimates in the game. Some people prefer to run Hog on the team. My question is, when is Roadhog a viable choice, and who is best working within a team comp so that he provides just as much value for his team? I mean, you can play Roadhog in, like, most situations. Roadhog is, like, pretty good a lot of the time. Especially in lower SRs where people are out of position more frequently. But Roadhog does have utility. He has hard crowd control in the hook, which usually leads to the person dying. And his ultimate is just, fuck it, I don't really like this team fight very much. I'd rather we call it all off and have it later if at all possible, you know? Roadhog, he's pretty good. You can't play him, like, if the other tanks, like, you can't have two off tanks, is basically what I'm going to say to you. So don't do, like, Roadhog Zarya. Don't do D.Va Roadhog. These are very bad combinations of tanks, but, like, as long as the other tank is a main tank, you can pick Roadhog, and that's fine, basically. Don't do it with Hammond, either. Even though people will tell you that Hammond is a main tank. Reddit will tell you Hammond's a main tank. Hammond is only a main tank for, like, 1% of the population. Because you need to know how to play Hammond, and your team needs to be competent for Hammond to really be a main tank. So there's a little bit too many conditional modifiers in there. We're relying on more than one person being good. It's not. We're relying on one person being good. It's too much. Yeah, so as long as the other person's a main tank, you can play Roadhog. Like, that's fine. He has utility. He kills people, especially in lower SRs. People are out of position good. People are out of position good. Jesus Christ. People are out of position more frequently, and he gets to just call off team fights, and he gets to break barriers really good as well. He's pretty good at that still. Do you guys use any stat tracking sites? I used to use Coder Watch because that was like the best one to me. But ever since the private profiles have been put on, none of the stat trackers work for me anymore, because they always say that I have my profile set to private, even though I don't. So I've tried several times to get that to work now, but no, none of the stat trackers seem to work for me anymore. So Overwatch is really good though. What the fuck? What hieroglyphics is this? I can't seem to find her. How to set up, configure this monitor for, oh, it's a monitor. Okay, whatever. Why do I have 80 ping with 500 megabytes per second internet? Jesus Christ. And my friend who lives 1 hour away with 40 megabytes per second has 40 ping. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not the right person to ask about that. You didn't ask me about it, so, but you know. Please consider taking this survey about hero preferences in Overwatch. So I did take this earlier, but let's have a game. Oh, fucking, can I just look at the previous responses? No. So there, you know, so the average age was like about what you expect it to be. And Anna was like the most played hero by far. As I remember, it was like Anna, Rhine, Zenyatta were like the most popularly played heroes. And when asked which characters they would like to see buffed, most people said Mercy or none. When asked who they would nerf, overwhelming majority of people said Bridget, followed by Doomfist. When asked which hero they would remove from the game, overwhelming amount of people said Bridget and Doomfist. So, it's about exactly on par. Like, it was the most Reddit responses possible to that survey imaginable, is pretty much it. So, I finally hit master. Good for you. Who else would like the hero ban system to at least be officially tested? I would love for there to be a hero ban system. I'd never have to look at Doomfist again. Unfortunately, they won't do it. I don't think they'll ever do it. I just don't have any faith in that. I didn't have any faith in them in putting in any kind of role select, and they sort of did, so maybe. But I'll be surprised if they ever actually implement a pick ban system. I think they should. I think they should at least put a ban system in, but I don't think they will. Maybe when we have like 50 heroes, you know. Maybe when we have Overwatch 2. You know, but not anytime in the near future. I'll be surprised to see it. How do I contribute to a dive? A Zen. Put the Discord on the high priority targets. And shoot the men. Put your Harmony Orb on the flankers. And shoot the men. That's it. You're there purely because Discord makes it easier to kill people, and Harmony Orb is really strong on flankers like Tracer, Genji, Doomfist. Yeah, it's just really strong on these people. Doomfist less so than the others. But like all the flankers, Zenyatta synergizes very well with flankers. Makes it easier for him to kill people, and Harmony Orb's mad OP on them. So like that's it, really. Put Discord on high priority targets. Put Healing Orb on flankers. Win game. Easy peasy. Win-loss... Rialto and SR. The season I have, 97, is 100 below my season high. What does this mean? I mean, you don't earn a flat amount of SR per game, so there's gonna be variance. What are your favorite characters to play that are the least stressful? I don't find any character stressful to play. Because I'm more laid back than most people, basically. I don't really tilt. I don't really find heroes stressful to play, so... Not applicable. Good Lucio guides? Dunno. Why does 100... I don't know. It's a tech question. Specific aim issue. Too imprecise. So I've made posts about my aim before. I've also been told my aim isn't that bad. Relative to the effort and time I put into it, it really is poor. Alright, so I know everybody told me it isn't that bad, but you're all wrong, okay? I'm right. You're all wrong. My aim is just... He's not really saying that, but that's kind of how I took it. My aim is just too imprecise. I can put in an enemy on my screen and follow their movement with my eyes. That's easy to do. It's easy to follow it with your eyes, but I can't actually put them dead center in my screen and land shots. it's very easy to follow something with your eyes. You know, there's the entirety of human evolution leading up to that one. So that's not that hard to follow it with your eyes. This leads to me overshooting and over-adjusting a lot, even with low sensitivity. I need to emphasize that or I'm going to get a handful of posts saying lower sensitivity. I'm running 5.1 with 900 DPI. Mine's even lower than that now. Mine's at like 3.7 since I started playing Ash. I've run it for a long time, and without good reason, I'm not changing it as far as the aim first, shoot second mentality goes. Either the game is too fast or that I'm too slow. Maybe in a practice environment that works, but in a real game, there's just too much going on for that to work. Disagree, but you're welcome to your own opinions. How do I effectively practice to fix this specific issue? I can visually follow the enemy, but I can't actually reliably put... So, like, what a pointless post. It's... Not to sound too insulting or anything, but like, you know, that's quite easy to do. So there's an extra step in here, you know, it's hand-eye coordination. It's a practice element, you know, more than anything else. But I just find that this particular correlation very strange. I can follow it with my eye, so why can't I click on it good? Shit, dude, I can visualize something really clearly in my mind. Why can't I draw it, you know? I don't understand. It's not that simple. There's a bit of practice involved here more than anything else. Winston can heal? Technically? So I was playing as Winston today and checked my stats, and it says I have 20 healing. I mean, if you were playing another healer. I've noticed that does happen with, like, D.Va a lot, where D.Va will just end up with, like, weird stats now and then, where it'll say she's got, like, 1 healing or something like that. So, yeah, you know, you're playing a healer where you had a bug. Winston doesn't heal. Well, he does heal when he uses Primal Rage, but it doesn't count as healing, you know? Can you imagine how many people would be, how many Winstons would be e-bullying the off-healers about that one, if the Primal Rage actually counted as healing for Winston? That'd be good. What is something that I can do to get better when I'm away from the game? I spend a lot of time outside my house and can't play as much as I'd like to. What's something I can do to improve while I'm not playing? Watch, like, YouTube content or streams, I guess, but, like, that's probably a similar issue, you know? Like, you can't, really. You kind of have to play the game, you know? What sensitivity should I have Mercy's abilities? How do I get out of gold? I'm just your typical Zen main who plays a lot of shit ton of comp, and I've been getting a lot of teammates who are kind of incompetent. And, who do things like constant C9s, battle mercies, and DPS Reinhardts. Oh. We had a man not like 20 minutes ago who was talking about DPS Reins and low diamond. Don't you worry. That doesn't stop. Anyone got any tips to help me get out of elo hell? It's really vague, you know? Play a lot of games. That's a very vague question. How do I get good? There's a few moving parts in that. As Ryan, what should I do if I get caught in Mei's ult? Get out? Obviously, if I'm alone, I should charge out of it, but what if some teammates are caught in it? Should I stay in the ult, or should I charge out? You're gonna get frozen if you're in it. What difference does it make? It's not like you can shield for them while you're in Mei's ultimate. You know? You have... I don't understand. The only reason you would stay in Mei's ultimate is if you have to stay on the objective or lose the game. You know, sometimes, like on payload maps specifically, as frequently happens, you'll have to stand on the payload, because if you get off, you'll lose. It's overtime. So you have to just stand there on the payload and get frozen. And that's going to feel bad, but otherwise you lose the game. So, you know, you have to do it. There's no benefit to staying in the blizzard when other people are stuck in the blizzard, because you're going to get frozen with the person in the blizzard. So it's not like you can block for them, really. I guess you could body block for them, technically, but, like, no, there's no benefit. Get out of the blizzard. Unless you're going to lose the game by getting out of the blizzard, because they'll push the payload or what have you, or overtime will run out. My question is, how is your rank and SR determined after the placement games? Is it single performance-based, or... They're basically just, like, more heavily weighted regular games, basically. They don't do anything particularly fancy. It's just, they just seem to give you, like, super gains and losses. I always, despite going 2-8 every single season, I always end within, like, 200 SR of where I ended my last season, you know? How does SR decay work? I finally got to a rank where SR decay takes place, so I've never experienced this. How does it work? After you don't play for a week, it starts decaying, and it decays fast. You gotta play 10 games in a week? No, that sounds too many. You gotta play a certain amount of games in a week. I don't remember how many it is to play in a week, because I never worried about it that much. I got decayed down a lot, but, you know, I'm a lazy bum. I don't remember how many games it is you need to play in a week. 10 sounds too much. It might be 5? I don't remember. I flatly don't remember how much. On Junkertown-wise, Roadhog picked over D.Va as the off-tank. Is it Junkertown specific? I haven't really observed this phenomenon. There's nothing else here. That's it. There's no body text. Yeah, there is. It just didn't want to file down. I'm a high plat, low diamond off-tank. Been playing since 2016. You could just say since launch. Since late 2000s. Whatever. And I currently participate in amateur tournaments on Xbox One, so right now with the GOATS meta, strats like Dive and Bunker have been relegated to being... I'm up in the game where Roadhog is consistently a meta pick, which is strange to me. D.Va has always been a better... I mean... I've never observed that people are more likely to do this, but I would theorize that it's because people are more likely to pick Bastion on this map than any other map. So, Roadhog is just like the buffer, right? So that it's the only place you can get some decent Chinese food. Australia, funnily enough. Yeah, that's, I mean, it has to be because they're more likely to pick Roadhog, or more likely to pick Bastion. Roadhog's better against Bastion than D.Va is. But I haven't observed this phenomena. Yeah, Bastion. Glad to see that people agree with me. Wonderful. Oh, now it loads out here. Like 12 times. Interesting. Let's see. Dropped and can't climb back up. I was Diamond main tank for 3 seasons. I lost 300 SR over one night. Damn, you played a lot of games in one night, didn't you? And cannot I climb back up, and do not know why I am way better than the ending tanks on the enemy team. No, let's not make fun of the person's English. They might not be a native speaker. Though it was very tempting to do so. I block nearly every shatter and hit mine too, most of the time, but I do not know how to get back to Diamond. I do not want to start playing solo queue knowing that I am better, but still thinking that it does not matter. Well, my question is, if you're blocking all the shatters and hitting all of the shatters, how are you still not winning? Because that's like the whole process. So maybe you're earth-shattering people when your team are not in a position to capitalize. Maybe you're earth-shattering people and then not doing what you need to actually convert it into kills. Because that's kind of the whole process for Reinhardt, is you block earth shatters and you land earth shatters. So it sounds like the earth shatters you land are either not in good positions / situations, or you're not capitalizing properly. This is a very vague post, so I pretty much only have this to go off of, really. But, like, maybe you're not actually blocking enough for your team. This is just a common Reinhardt thing, where they're playing too, you know, we've seen a lot of posts about DPS Reinhardt today. Maybe you're being a DPS Reinhardt. Don't do that. Or you're just not capitalizing properly, or earth-shattering people in bad spots, you know, when you're at a numbers disadvantage, things like that. Where should I start? I am looking to add Widow into my arsenal. Should I start in custom headshot games? It's a waste of time. Or just quick play and auto lock her every game. I hate the, like, just headshot custom games things, because it doesn't really, like, help you practically, because bots don't move like regular human beings do. So it's not really helping you build the right kind of muscle memory, you know? You're getting better at shooting ducks at a fairground, but you're not really getting better at shooting actual men. you know? They don't behave the same way. You're pretty much just gonna have to do a lot of, like, insta-locking Widowmaker, and then sticking with it. I'll do the thing that that everyone seems to feel obligated to say, which is like, don't stay on Widowmaker and throw the game. You can throw the game on anybody, but you know, like, people always feel the need to point out, if the Widowmaker's not working, change off of Widowmaker. The thing is with that, is that when you're learning how to play Widowmaker, Widowmaker won't work. Ever. Because you don't know how to play Widowmaker yet. So I've always found this advice people give counterintuitive, because people always say, pick Widowmaker, but if it's not working, change off Widowmaker because you don't want to throw the game for other people. It's never gonna work. So you're gonna end up changing off of Widowmaker within like 5 seconds every time you try to play Widowmaker. Because when you're learning how to play her, it's not gonna work. So, like, you know, you can play, like, quick play and deathmatch to try and build up mechanics, because, you know, aiming, you can just sort of build through playing the game. Doesn't necessarily have to be competitive to do that, but, like, there will come a point where, like, you're not gaining anything anymore out of quick play or deathmatch games, and that'll come fairly quickly, honestly. And you're going to have to start playing competitive with Widowmaker to actually improve. And I'll tell you now that you're going to lose a lot of games. People are going to shit talk you a lot. And I encourage you to not switch off of Widowmaker as soon as things start going badly, which is like what everybody always seems to feel obligated to say, right? You're going to have to stick to the Widowmaker and actually, like, play it while things are going badly, because they're never going to be going well while you're learning, right? That's just not how it works. Sometimes it'll go well, but, like, you're going to lose a lot at the start, and you're going to get shit talked a lot at the start. So, you know, this is the point, like, when you're learning how to play a hero like Widowmaker, just cut off all forms of communication with other human beings, because it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be pleasant interactions that you have. Don't shit talk back to them. Just don't say anything. Just completely ignore them. Just play the game. Be nice as well. Here's playing, like, trying to learn to play a hero like Widowmaker. At the start of the game, say good luck, have fun. Say good round between every round, and then say GG, well played at the end. And then don't say anything else. And a lot of the times, the enemy team will stick up for you, honestly. Because if they see your teammates talking shit, and the only thing they've seen you do is go, good luck, have fun, good round, they're going to be more inclined to stick up for you, and then your team will be super upset about that one. So there you go. There's some advice on that one. But, like, you're going to have to pick it, and you're going to have to stick with it when things are going badly. I will say that if the enemy team starts doing stuff like just full dive, right? You're getting dove by a Widow, like, by a Winston, Diva, Genji, Doomfist, like, being dove by, like, 4 separate people. Now it's time to change off Widowmaker. Because at this point, you're not learning anything anymore. You're just, like, coming out onto the field, and then 4 people are immediately just diving on you and clapping you. So that's the point where you should change off of Widowmaker. But otherwise, right, just pick Widowmaker if you're trying to learn how to play Widowmaker. And, you know, don't do some kind of, like, ridiculous team composition thing. You see, like, 4 other people have picked DPS. Don't then go Widowmaker still, right? Like, have some discretion. Don't go full 6 DPS, right? Like, you see 3 people have picked a DPS. Now's not the time to lock in Widowmaker, okay? But other than, like, outside of that kind of situation, just pick Widowmaker and stick with it. And just tune out other people. You gotta learn to play Widowmaker sooner or later. People are going to shit talk you. It's going to go bad a lot. You're going to lose a lot of games. That's life when you're learning how to play a hero like Widowmaker. You just got to stick with it and actually, like, muscle through that learning period. Don't interact with human beings anymore. Any way to constantly get 120 FPS, lower settings, buy a better computer, you know, that's basically it. Who's your main, and do you have any tips that you've learned from your experience? Well, I'm trying to main Ashe right now. We've talked about Reinhardt Infinity billion times before, so we'll not do that one. We've talked about Bridget Infinity billion times also, so we'll not go over that one. So I guess we'll think about something to say for Ashe. Does the knockback thing? Let's see. Can I think of anything else, really? If I can chuck that dynamite out there all the time, that's just easy damage right there. Build up ult so that you can deploy the boy as frequently as possible. Send daddy in there as much as you possibly can. Bob runs until he hits an enemy champion, enemy hero, or collides with a wall. So if you're on a map like Hanamura, second checkpoint, it can be difficult to actually hit an enemy with Bob, depending on what's going on. So it's easier to just chuck Bob at the back of the point, because you'll collide with the wall, and then you just have Bob, the turret, sat on the objective, where they're, you know, big empty box. There's not a lot of places for them to go. I'm thinking, like, if you're defending specifically, though, you can do it while you're attacking as well. It's just that then they're more likely to hide behind the objective. But then you can argue you're still doing the same thing, because Bob is zoning the team off the objective, which is also helpful. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to actually... And if you miss hitting somebody on Hanamura, Bob ends up in some very unhelpful locations. So if you're not confident you can hit somebody with him anymore, for whatever reason, just send him at, like, a wall that's, like, in a convenient location. And just think of it as basically deploying a turret, because that's pretty much what you've done. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Click on the men better. Oh, no. We gotta do the hello thing. So, Ashe has a really long delay between reloading and being able to fire her gun again. It's like a full second delay from reloading before she can actually fire again. With Ashe specifically, if you wave hello, it cancels the animation, and you can just immediately start firing again. So... And it's like while you're actively reloading as well, you can cancel. You're reloading, you're at 8 out of 12. If you click hello, then you just immediately can start firing again, right after you pushed hello. So bind hello to a convenient key so that you can cancel your reloading animation. This is gonna get patched. Like, it's just the kind of thing that Blizzard hates. This is gonna get patched. But, like, the bug, the exploit, however you want to look at it, is so strong that it is worth doing regardless. So bind hello to something so that you can abuse that. Like, I have buttons on the side of my mouse. I bound hello to that button right there so that I can just click it and then immediately fire. Is very strong. Do that. There you go. Figured it out. Today I learned Soldier and Ashe's Bob ultimates have spread, causing them to miss at range. Yes, but Bob's a fucking god, so it doesn't tend to come up that much. Soldier's not a god. He's definitely not a god anymore. Been away for a long while. It's doing it again. Up. There we go. Get out of here. Okay. I played quite a bit during release until Orisa released. I played a handful of games, Just looking for resources for any major changes I should be aware of before jumping back in. If it matters too much, I mean... Gotta learn what the new heroes do, and basically you gotta learn to deal with the fact that there's a lot more crowd control in the game, and a lot more, like, annoying heroes in the game, like Doomfist and Hammond. So, you know, basically getting used to the new, really weird, really annoying heroes that have sort of taken over. God, can't wait for Doomfist to be gone. What a fun and interactive hero he is. People, and everybody's sitting there now like, oh, says the Bridget main. And I'm like, you're bad and just don't know how to play against Bridget. And then you're like, you're bad and don't know how to play against Doomfist. And I'm like, yeah, I know. True. Thank you for your input, Straw Man. What's going to happen to Owl if the meta is still just goats mirrors? Owl will continue to exist. But it will be really fucking boring to watch. It's possible that the pro players will develop a counter to goats, but unlikely. Goats, if executed well, is very strong. And there aren't that many things in the game that really like counter it that well if it's played well, so it will probably just become really boring. It's possible they'll be like, they'll find like a strat that's like only the pros can really do, because there's a lot of those in existence with games, but yeah, like it'll continue to exist. It'll just be really fucking boring to watch until something gets changed, pretty much. Because I mean, you know, like the meta won't stay that way forever, because no meta game ever stays there for eternity, so that'll change eventually, but like until then it'll probably be really fucking boring to watch. Any Halo or Destiny constant? Nope. Discussion about Junkrat. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's not. What is main DPS and flex DPS sub-roles? As far as I understand, pro teams distinguish main and flex DPS sub-roles. Just I don't really like watch or follow enough of the pro game stuff to tell you exactly how that breaks down. I'm not the right person to ask for that. I'm sure somebody else has better input than me. There might be something in the comments. The same main DPS has the most threat. Flex has more utility. Look at Widow Hanzo. Widow is the main DPS and she has more consistent damage, but Hanzo has more options in utility. Tracer's main, more consistent damage. Genji has can reach places she can, utility, blah blah blah. Okay, fair enough. DPS versus utility DPS, or damage DPS versus utility DPS. Yes, I'm aware that sounded stupid, but fair enough. That makes sense. I don't watch a lot of pro stuff, so filtering out no mics, willfully avoiding team chat and comp. Mics are voice chat's a waste of time. I've talked about this infinity billion times, but it's a waste of time for a lot of people. I'm not saying the concept of voice chat is a waste of time, but I'm saying for the majority of the competitive Overwatch experience, particularly for solo queue, it is a waste of time. In like, we'll say 80% of situations, it is a waste of time. I think people always just think of like the best case scenarios for voice chat, and they're like, oh, I gotta get that. The best case scenario happens so infrequently, and like, I don't know if you've noticed, but the Overwatch community is basically a septic tank, full of needles and razor blades. So it's not really worth the effort, because you're gonna have a lot more terrible experiences than you are good experiences. Particularly if you are of the female persuasion, this is more likely to happen, or if you are on the younger side, and like audibly so, you're not gonna have a good time in the voice chat, generally speaking. Because, startling revelation, gamers tend to, you know, people on the internet, let's be real here. People on the internet, when given any degree of anonymity, such as on the internet, tend to turn into complete assholes. So, you know. I feel like I'm making the game less fun for everyone I play with. How can I improve playing as a tank/support? That's really vague. Come on, you can do it. Show us the money. Come on. There you go. I've been getting into Overwatch lately, mostly because it's the only competitive shooter my close friends play. Why won't anyone play CS with me? I can think of a lot of reasons about that. One of my friends said to me the other day, today, in fact, do you know Counter-Strike went free to play? And I went, oh, no, I didn't. So, do you want to play CSGO? And he went, no, not really. And I went, no, not really. It's just that kind of game where, like, I think about Counter-Strike, and I'm like, Oh god. I think I'd rather learn how to play, like, Dota or something, you know. One of the most, like, unreasonable games to learn in existence. I'd rather learn to play that than Counter-Strike, to be honest with you. Anyway. Counter-Strike's trash. Jokes aside, I do enjoy it. However, I feel like I'm making the game less fun. I do pretty well with DPS characters and I enjoy playing them. Silver, gold ranks. Everyone pretty much insta-locks DPS heroes. Yep, Some will, of course, but they are a rare 1 in 10 team. I don't blame them. In fact, I have the same mindset. I absolutely suck with tank and support heroes, and I dislike the playstyle. Well, how can I get better at playing tank and support heroes, and how can I start enjoying the playstyle? I mean, if you don't enjoy the playstyle, you can't force yourself to enjoy it, you know? You just kind of have, like... What you can really do is play as many of the tanks and healers as possible until you try and, like, find one you like, but there might not be any that you like. You can't force yourself to enjoy something, so... Like, I mean, it's a very vague question, isn't it? I could sit here and talk to you for like 2 hours about how you play support and healers. It's very vague. If you enjoy playing DPS mostly, try to play the supports and tanks that are more akin to a DPS, like Zenyatta, Ana, Roadhog, Diva, you know, these are the tanks and healers that are more DPS-like than the others, so, like, try playing those. You might enjoy them more than the other ones, but, like, how do I be good at support and healer is very vague, and, like, you can't force yourself to like something, you know, that's just not how human beings are, so just try and play the ones that are, like, a little bit more like DPS. How to capitalize on enemy for DPS. So, do I use something pokey and spammy? So it's very hard to capitalize on it solo, because the thing is, with the, like, 4 DPS, 5 DPS teams, is I see them win a surprising amount of the time, and the reason for that is, if the enemy team is disorganized or starts to tilt at all, it tends to start going badly for them, right? The way that you play against the really high number of DPS teams is you all stick together and protect each other and just, like, weather the initial, like, fuck you of them coming at you. Because they're coming at you with a lot more damage than you have. So it's about surviving that initial, like, brunt of damage being thrown at you. And if you can survive that, you're probably good. The problem is that as soon as people are disorganized and start splitting off on their own, that's when people start getting picked off, and then it starts, you know, this cascading effect starts. So it's very hard to capitalize on it by yourself. The best thing you can do is going to be pick someone like Bridget or Sombra or Roadhog. People that are disruptive and, like, defensive. You know, people that are defensive and disruptive to the enemy team. Because, like, all of these heroes can, like, really fuck with, like, the aggressive DPS, basically. And, like, they're like 4 or 5 DPS. They're offensive. They're, like, aggressive DPS, let's be real. They're coming at you with, like, 3 flankers. So you can pick somebody that's, like, disruptive to them, and that's, like, the best you can do as a solo player. But the thing is that, like, it's mostly about getting your team to, like, cooperate a little bit. As soon as disorganization starts and tilt starts, it's all downhill from there, because that's what the 4 DPS team is going to prey on. The smurfing epidemic in Overwatch. People overblow this thing so fucking much. There are not that many smurfs, okay? Like, there's smurfs, yes. It's not an epidemic, you know? It's not a fucking extinction level event, right? Like, yeah, it feels bad when there's a smurf on the enemy team. This is true of all games. The thing is, the Overwatch community is so delicate that just the slightest little issue like this crops up, and then it's immediately the fucking end of the game, and perhaps Blizzard as a company. It's that fucking catastrophic. Every game has smurfs, and you know, we don't all have fucking meltdowns over it, you know? Overwatch is just very delicate. You probably run into a Smurf, like, once every, like, 20 games, right? It's just they stick out in your mind a lot because you don't like playing against them. I bet you don't play against that many Smurfs, really. Because people also just see someone playing really well on the other team, and they'll go, that's a Smurf. I know it. And then I push tab, and I look at them, fucking platinum border in plat, and I'm like, I don't know if that is a Smurf. You know, there's something about this situation that sort of indicates to me they might not be a Smurf. Sometimes you push tab and you see the level 25 Widowmaker dunking on people. Like, yeah, that's a Smurf. But people will call anything a Smurf. If someone's playing well, it's a Smurf. It's like if the people are playing badly on your team. They're throwing. They are actively sabotaging me right now. They could just be playing badly this game, you know? No. They're throwing. They aren't just doing badly. They're actively sabotaging me. They aren't just bad. They're out to get me. Jesus Christ. Strange way to tilt. Come on. You can do it. There you go. I have a bad habit, which is arguably worse than shouting my head off, and this is I completely go silent. Oh, no. Fuck that shit. Don't talk to people. Is competitive just about luck? There's always gonna be an element of luck. You know? This is the thing. Is that people, they like, I think a lot of it is to do with like watching streamers and pro players, where like, they'll watch these people climb really quickly to the top ranks, and they feel like their experience should be the same. It won't be. For most people will climb with like a 51-52% win ratio, right? The thing is, if you consistently play well, over time, you will climb. Because as long as you are not the problem, there are only 5 people on your team that can be bad. There are 6 people on the enemy team that can be bad. So statistics are in your favor when it comes to climbing. The bad experience, because of how our stupid monkey brains work, you're always going to remember the bad experiences more than the positive experiences. I'm dropping my mouse right now is what's happening. So, you know, you probably heard like a couple bangs on the table right there. I'm sorry. You were like, this is the way our stupid monkey brains are. So you'll remember the bad experiences more vividly. So it feels like it's just about luck, because you always get these trash teammates. You never get the good teammates. Never. It is probably not nearly as bad as you remember it as being. Right? Some people are out of outlier situations. Someone's going to come out like, no, I really do lose every single game because I just get trash players on my team. No, that's not actually what happens, is it? That's just what you think it is. There are some outlier situations where some people really just are fucking cosmically unlucky. You are probably not one of those people. Right? Like, as long as you play consistently well, you'll climb over time. Because unless you are dramatically better than the people that you're currently queued with, like if you are like 2 brackets above who you're currently playing against in terms of skill, you can carry consistently. But like, the rest of the time, you can't. It's just about playing consistently well, and over time, you'll climb. People got the wrong perspective on it. Climbing is a marathon, not a sprint. They watch these pro players and streamers just go zoop, and they're like, well, that's obviously just how it is for everybody. No, for most people, you will win only a little bit more than you lose. And that's how all video games are. At least like competitive team-based games, right? Like if you were playing like a fighting game, that's purely on you, right? There's no other outliers there. It's just how good you are. So, you know, then it can get a little bit more skewed, but you probably still climb with like a pretty low percentage win ratio overall. You probably still climb with 51-52% win ratio, because that's just how the stats work. It's just how it is. It's how human beings are in these situations. And because this is a team game, there's always going to be a bit of luck involved. It's just about if you Play well, you'll climb. It might take a while, you know? It might take a while, but you will eventually climb if you play well. People got it all fucked up. Is it my job to save Mercy with Winston's jump? As Winston? Come on, you can do it, Reddit. You can do it. Come on. Show the text. There we go. With a Diamond Mercy was complaining about me don't jumping high to save them. Oh, I see. He's saying that he couldn't, like, use you to jump up, basically. He was never warning me in voice chat when he was low or needing help. Is it my job to save him? I mean, like, yes. Okay, so here's the thing. You can't... Unless you're communicating actively with the Mercy player, you can't really do things like jump high up in the sky so the Mercy can use you to slingshot up into the sky, right? Which is, I assume, what the person meant by jumping high to save him specifically. Like, you should jump, like, if you see the Mercy is being killed by somebody, you know, like, you see like, Genji is trying to kill the Mercy, you should jump on him as Winston and try to save the Mercy from the Genji, right? But, like, it doesn't matter who you are, right? If you see that your support is getting murdered, you should try your best to save that person from dying, because you need that person alive. So you should try and keep them alive, regardless of who you're playing. But unless you're communicating actively with the Mercy, you can't really just, like, know when you need to jump high in the sky to save the Mercy. Like, the Mercy kind of needs to work with you a little bit on that one. Like, if the Mercy goes, Winston, jump, right? Jump up so that she can use you to slingshot, but, like, you can't really just, like, know when the Mercy wants you to do that, so that's kind of a communication thing, really, specifically. If it's the jumping high specifically to save them, so that, like, they can use you to slingshot. But, like, if you see them getting murdered, you should jump to that Mercy to try and save her. Yeah. How to play main tank when your shield gets shredded. Be really fucking passive. Play aggressive as Reinhardt. So you immediately figured it out. Don't play so aggressive. I also try to beta. I get shredded instantly. If I swing at all, I'm dead instantly, so don't swing. Don't swing then. If I shield hop too fast, then the other team gets behind me and I'm dead. If I push too slowly, my shield gets shredded and I either retreat or die. The retreating is not the end of the world. Okay? Don't die. The retreating is... Having to retreat is not the end of the world. But here's what it is. So when this happens, I try to get my team to play more shield break or da-da-da. So, so you're gonna like, you kind of, so don't run at them swinging. Just try to build up your ult with Fire Strike, basically, which, I mean, is how you play Reinhardt regardless, but I mean, you know, so play more passively. If they're doing, like, a good job of breaking your shield, basically you're going to need to use cover in the environment more, right? So you're going to have to go from cover to cover. I mean, you want to do this regardless, but particularly in this situation, you're going to need to go from cover to cover and, like, let your shield regenerate to, like, a decent amount in between each hop, basically. So you're going to have to, like, we'll say we're on Blizzard World, right? And we're trying to push through the main gate, right? You're going to hold up your shield, and you're going to, like, rush up, like, to the statue as quickly as possible. And then you're going to, and, you know, they're, like, on the low ground on, like, the left-hand side shooting at us from, like, Snacks Ramus, right? They're not up on the high ground, because the high ground is a trap on Blizz World a lot of the time. So we rush up to the statue. Shield's mostly broken. We just sit, and we wait until the shield is, like, pretty healthy again. Doesn't necessarily have to be full health, but, like, the healthier, the better. Now, they're on the left-hand side. So we decide, are we going to rush at them directly, or are we going to go the right-hand side instead? Because if, like, they're over by Snacks Ramus, we can try and rush up to them, but if they're breaking our shield really fast, that might be hard to do. So we can instead go right, so we rush up to the wall that, like, blocks off the point, and then let the shield regenerate behind that wall a little bit, and then they're going to rotate back to the point. But now we've covered most of the distance, because now we're on one side of the point, they're on the other side of the point. Now, wait for the shield to regenerate again, and then we push onto the point to start the fight, right? because then they have to come onto the point to, like, meet us, or we can just walk across the point and start fighting them. Because they have to come on to contest it, or, you know, we just capture it, so. But you have to, like, go from cover to cover to cover. And that's one of the easier examples, because there's, like, a few different places of cover to go to along the way. Or you can, like, go up the right-hand side. You can try and, like, there are some maps where you can kind of circumnavigate the issue to an extent, because you could also go right through the gate, and then go up through the roller coaster, and then basically come out behind the objective, and you basically just circumnavigate the whole issue entirely. But you kind of have to get your team to go with you on that one, because you have to kind of take a pretty obtuse route to do that, right? Because you're going through the roller coaster and then out the backside, and then you're basically pushing onto the point from their spawn, more or less. So you kind of need your team to be with you on that. Or you can go left, go up the side, and then on the left side of, like, the rocks next to Synax Ramus, you can just rush around the corner as quickly as possible. So you can circumnavigate the issue on some maps. That's not always possible on some maps. Like Hanamura, you can't really circumnavigate the choke point as Reinhardt, so that can be more of an issue. But the idea is, if they're breaking it really quickly, just, like, build your ult with Fire Strike, play more defensively if you can't, like, close the gap to them. Just play defensively, build Fire Strike, try to go from cover to cover. Try to go around if at all possible and, like, use as much cover as possible. And then when you are in position, you know, you've built up your ult with Fire Strike. Yeah, it might take a while. Like, it might take a few attempts to actually get through if they're, like, really dug in. So, like, don't be afraid of, like, pushing in and then having to retreat out, because that's not the end of the world. As long as you, like, as long as you don't just, like, suicide into them, feed a bunch of ult charge, and then throw your ults away on team fights that you were never going to win. Like, pushing in, skirmishing, backing out is not the end of the world. Because then you go in, you fight a little bit, alright, it's not going well, retreat out, heal up, go back in again. Like, you're building ult charge, you're making attempts, and the more attempts you make to try and push in, the more likely you are to get in, because you're just taking more turns at trying, right? Like, if you always go for the all or nothing death charge at them, right? That takes you longer to regroup after the fight to try again, right? Like, if you go in, you push in, and you die, and, like, if you die quickly, if, like, you push in, team fight goes badly, you all die quickly, you can get to try again in, like, 30 seconds, right? Because you have to wait for your whole team to you have to wait for everybody to die, respawn, regroup again. So it's, like, 30 seconds every time. If you push in, the fight goes badly, you retreat out, you lose, like, one person, you have to wait for them to get back, not the end of the world, because, like, you all retreat out, that person's been respawning while you've been retreating, so then you come back out, you back out, heal up, person reconvenes with you. That took, like, you only had to wait for one person who was respawning while you were retreating, so that took, like, 10-15 seconds to regroup, as opposed to, like, 30 seconds to regroup, right? So you get to try more if you push in, goes badly, disengage, heal up, go in again. This is the second attempt. They might fuck up. We might get an ult opportunity. We might catch someone. If it doesn't, hey, back up, retreat again, heal up again, push in again, try again. Now roll the dice again, right? Will we get a good engage? Will they fuck up? Will we catch somebody? You get to try more. So it's not the end of the world if you have to retreat. So try to use cover. In summation, try to use as much cover as possible. If you can, try and circumnavigate the issue as much as possible if the map will let you. They don't all let you do that. And don't be afraid to just, like, retreat, heal up, try again. It's not the end of the world. If they're really dug in, it's going to take a few attempts to get them out. Questions about D.Va's kit. Are missiles more so safe for kill confirmation or used to generally add damage? It's somewhere in between, because they're just, like, tossing them at the enemy team to build some ult charge while nothing is happening, while things are pretty neutral, is, you know, you're just building ult charge, so that's good. Damaging some shields, things like that, so it's not bad to just chuck it out there to do damage. But, like, if you see somebody, like, The thing is that D.Va does a lot of burst damage when she first jumps on someone, because you fly at the person, missiles going, you're shooting at them, you collide with them bodily while you're shifting at them. D.Va does like a big spike of damage because she's hitting you with a bunch of things when she initially engages on you, so it's it is a big part of kill confirmation, but then also just like chucking it at the end of the team when nothing's really happening is just, you know, you're doing something rather than doing nothing, which is good to do. Biggest mistake that most people on the ladder make regarding missiles. Regarding missiles. Probably chucking it at, like, really hard to hit people that are far away from you. Because, like, if you're just using it, like, when things are neutral to fill time, you want to chuck it at somebody that's easy to hit, you know? Like, you want to chuck it at their tank, because you're basically just doing it to build ult charge, right? Or, like, harass somebody. So, like, you know, like, the Widow sitting all the fuck way over there, up, like, 20 miles back, you know, you can chuck the missiles at her, but you'll probably only hit, like, 2 of them, right? Whereas the Reinhardt, he's big, easy, you know, or the D.Va, the Roadhog, whatever, they're big and easy to hit, so just chuck them at them, you'll probably hit most of the missiles, and that'll give you more ult charge than, like, trying to harass the, like, squishy person that's really far away. So, probably that. What is the best way to work around D.Va's movement speed while firing impairment? Basically, it's to get right up on top of the person that you're trying to fire, that you're trying to kill. If, like, you're in a situation where, like, you're shooting into the Reinhardt shield, but if you can, like, walk behind that Reinhardt shield freely, just, like, stop firing for a second so that you can move behind him quickly enough. If the person, like, cuts a corner to get away from you, stop firing as soon as they cut the corner so that you can start moving faster again to try and keep up with them. But basically, it's like, get right up on top of the person. Like, the initial engage is the most important part. Because, like, if you engage properly, the movement speed won't be an issue. Because you'll have mostly killed the person by the time they start putting any distance between you and them. What cases would you preemptively DM? If, like, I see the person, like, diving on somebody, and they have something I can block. Like, if I see Farah jumping down, like, I see Farah, like, I'm on, like, Gibraltar second checkpoint, I see Farah jump off the high ground from the rocket, from the spaceship directly above my team, defense matrix. It's pretty obvious what that person's gonna do, right? If I see somebody dive on, like, this, like, if I see somebody diving on a squishy member of the team, I'll hold it over them, because I know they're about to start doing damage to the person, assuming it's something I can block, right? They aren't necessarily something I can block, but, like, if they have something I can block, if I see, like, Doomfist jumping on somebody, and then they punch them up in the air, I'm just gonna put the defense matrix over the person as soon as they get punched in the air, because I know the Doomfist is about to shoot at that person, right? So it's pretty much when you can predict they're about to do something that you can block, right? Because if you wait for them the Doomfist to start shooting that dude, they're basically dead. So I'll just put it over them as soon as I see them get knocked in the air. And block as soon as he starts firing. That kind of situation. What factors influence how high you fly and what angle you fly before ulting? So many things. The map. The position you're currently in on the map. Where the enemy team are positioned, where your team is positioned, who's currently winning the fight, my team or their team. There's a lot of things that go into that one. The biggest ones are like, is my team winning or the enemy team winning? Because that'll decide, that's the most likely thing to decide if I want to use it aggressively or defensively, right? Because if my team is losing, I'll be more inclined to use it to zone the enemy team. Whereas if my team is winning, I'm more likely to throw it into them to apply more pressure. That's probably the biggest thing, but, like, a lot of factors decide that. What factors influence whether you use your ult to remech or take some time aside to plan it out? Pretty much, like, a team fight's about to start, or a team fight's currently happening. And I just lost my mech over in some random crevice. If the team fight is about to start, or just started, right, or is currently happening, it's more important for you to be in the mech than anything else, right? Because D.Va's ult is only meh a lot of the time, right? Like, it's not a big money ultimate. So, like, D.Va isn't a hero when she's out of her mech, right? Baby D.Va, we make jokes, it's her final form. She does more damage out of mech than in mech. But, like, you're not a hero when you're out of your mech. So, like, if a team fight starts or is currently happening while you're out of mech, you're basically dead while the team fight's happening until you can get back in your mech. So sometimes if the team fight's happening right there and then, it's often going to be more important for you to be in your mech and actually a hero the entire time. Because then you can actually, like, block enemy ultimates, save people, peel for people, actually threaten their backline, you know? Baby D.Va can't do that, so that's the kind of thing that decides that. What precautions do you take when ulting to reduce the probability of dying in mech? And it's mostly positioning, because, like, if you pop out, like, right in the middle of 6 people, you're gonna die. The biggest precaution you can probably take is, like, the distance you are when you use your mech, basically. Or when you chuck the mech at them, but, like... Wait, this might mean while calling mech. Like, you're in the enemy team and you're calling your mech, so how do you survive dying as you're climbing into the mech? Basically, it would be like, identify the most likely person to kill you while you're getting into your mech, which will usually be a DPS hero, and face them when you call the mech, because then the mech will block line of sight between you and the person, so you're less likely to die, if that's what that means. If it's like, when you chuck your ult at them and then pop out, how do you reduce dying then? It's just basically like where you are when you chuck the mech at them, pretty much. If DM is full, would you use it on less consequential damage? No, DM is too valuable. It's not worth using on, like, pointless trash damage. Like, DM is a really strong resource, so it's not worth using on trash chip damage. It's too important, and it takes a long time to recharge, and it's a really valuable resource, so it's not worth it. I use 15 by 800 sensitivity. Oh, you fucking madman, it's so high. Will it being that high slow down the improvement of my aim? Not necessarily, but, like, it'll make tracking more difficult in general. Well, I guess that's a personal preference thing, isn't it? I think it'll make it more difficult to track, because you're going to end up overshooting targets a lot of the time. Especially since D.Va is mostly about tracking. She isn't a snap aimer or anything like that, so... it'll make it harder to track, you'll overshoot people more, but it isn't necessarily going to slow down improvement, because that kind of depends on you. But for me, like, I wouldn't have it that high. Is her spread really that high, or are the pellets homogeneous? Do you aim chest, close mid, and collarbone point blank? I basically aim for the center of mass, because it's more important all the pellets hit, to me, more than anything else. Especially since D.Va does so much extra damage from her abilities, right? Like, sometimes you kill a person just by shooting at them, but quite often you kill the person by, like, boosting into them and using rockets, right? So, actually getting the headshots is not a big deal, because the rockets and you're bumping into them with shift do a lot of the damage. So, I'm more interested in just getting the pellets to hit, so I'll aim for the center of mass, because that's the easiest part to hit, basically. If it's somebody that has, like, a really big head hitbox, like, I was going to say Winston, but aiming for his head is also the same as aiming for his center of mass. If it's like Roadhog, you know, a tank, basically. If they have a big head hitbox, I'll aim for the head. But if it's just, like, a relatively, like, small person, I'll just aim for the center of mass. And that's all those questions. Great job, team. Kill cams, do you or don't you? Why? I don't, and the reason is they don't really ever give you that much extra information, other than, like, the enemy team's ult charge, but I don't care that much, because it's usually not that hard to ult track, for me anyway. Some people disagree. I don't find ult tracking to be that hard that I need to peep kill cams. The thing is that I'm more interested in just knowing how the fight is going while I'm dead, because... I want to know roughly what's happening in the fight when I get back again. So if I watch the kill cam, I know less about what's happening in the game currently, and I want to know as much about what's happening in the game as possible. So I always skip the kill cam. Unless I'm like, how the fuck did that guy get there? You know, sometimes I'm just like flabbergasted that I died, so I'll watch to see how they killed me or how they got to the position they were in, but like every other time I'll skip it. Is there any reason I should learn Hammond instead of playing Ryan and Winston? Basically, it's if you want to play Hammond. Ryan and Winston are easier to play and more consistently useful than Hammond is. But if you want to play Hammond, if you like Hammond, by all means, you play Hammond instead of Winston and Ryan. You follow your heart. Don't feel pressured to do the others. It's just basically, if you want to play Hammond, play Hammond. I don't think he... Like, if you get really good at Hammond, you can do some really crazy stuff, but it's hard to do. It pretty much has to be you want to learn Hammond. Because I don't have that kind of interest in Hammond to invest that kind of kind of time into learning how to play him. But you might love Hammond. If you love Hammond, you play Hammond. And that's true of any hero. You love that hero, you play that hero. Even if, like, on purely paper reasons, there isn't much reason to learn how to play that hero. If you want to do it, fucking do it. It's a video game. Have fun. So we did 2 pages. It's been about an hour. Good talk, team. Good talk. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.